going on? Welcome in the Matt Bernier Show here on DRF TV, live.drf.com, livestream.com, the Daily Racing Forums Twitter handle that is at DRF Inside Post, as well as the Daily Racing Forums Facebook page. My name is Matt Bernier. You can follow me on Twitter at Bernier_Matt. Today, Friday, November the 17th, 2017. It's a little bit of a light week here, obviously, from a graded stake standpoint, from a stake standpoint, period. And this is still kind of that little lull after the Breeders' Cup is over. And before we get to big weekends, next weekend, obviously Thanksgiving weekend, where you've got races like the Clark Handicap and closing weekend out at Del Mar, and then you quickly roll in the following week into races like the Cigar Mile and whatnot. So a little bit of a quieter time right now. If you check this thing out podcast and you're not listening live, you've got YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, video.drf.com. Plenty of ways for you to find this show as well as all the other shows that we have as far as the Daily Racing Forum is concerned. Being that this is a little bit of a quieter week, I figured let's just kind of take a look and short glance toward what's to come in 2018, and let's just take it kind of by division. Let's go with the older males and let's go with the older females. Now, obviously, 3-year-olds next year can jump up in a big, big way and be a player in any of these sort of races, but I figured let's start off with the males and think toward races like the Breeders' Cup Classic, toward bigger races like the Jockey Club Gold Cup and the Whitney and the Pacific Classic and all these other races. I'm not going to mention Gunrunner for the obvious reasons. We already know, one, what he's capable of, and also he's probably only going to run one more time. He's going to run the Pegasus World Cup, and then that's that. So to me, he doesn't really count as far as 2018 is concerned. Hopefully we get to see him one more time, and it would be fantastic if we do, if all goes as planned. But these horses are all scheduled to be running in 2018, and some are going to be fresh faces, and some are going to be tried and true, and we know what we're going to get out of them. One of them, I think, is West Coast, though. He is the up-and-comer anyway, the 3-year-old, soon to be a 4-year-old. He's going to be 3-year-old champion as far as the Eclipse Awards are concerned, and he pretty much locked everything up, or at least put his name squarely in everybody's mind when he won the Travers. Here's Larry Colmus with the call.
And they're into the stretch, and it's West Coast. IRAP confronts him. Gunnavera comes up on the outside of them, and Taprit is fourth. Furlong to run. Mike Smith getting all from West Coast as he clings to the lead from Gunnavera. IRAP is third on the inside. Taprit is fourth. It is West Coast, and he keeps on rolling. And West Coast goes wire to wire in the Travers.
He obviously followed that up with a victory in the Pennsylvania Derby, which now is a Grade 1, and then he came back and ran very, very credibly in the Breeders' Cup Classic to run third behind Gunrunner and behind Collected. West Coast looks like he could be the up-and-comer as far as Baffert is concerned. Speaking of Bob Baffert, you've got to acknowledge the runner-up in the Breeders' Cup Classic this year. That was Collected. Collected took his shot at Gunrunner on the far turn, and he just got turned away by a better horse, but that doesn't mean that Collected's not a very, very talented animal. This is him winning the Pacific Classic.
Accelerate went a little wide into the turn. Arrogate now is plugging away on the outside. An eighth of a mile to go, and Collected keeps on going. Arrogate is getting going late now. Collected is in front. Arrogate closing on the outside. It's a Bob Baffert 1-2, but Collected gonna win it. Collected and Martin Garcia won the Pacific Classic.
I suppose it's silly to just say this and be fearful that possibly Collected was broken by Gunrunner, considering he loomed up. He actually may have poked a nose in front at one point, and then he just got completely slapped away by Gunrunner. You've seen it in the past where good horses, when they get punched in the face, you get what I'm getting at here. When they kind of get it taken to them, they don't come back the same. It's too early to tell if that's going to be the case with Collected. I know he won at 10 furlongs. Still wonder if he's a little bit better at maybe 9, 8.5 furlongs. He's got that big turf pedigree. I'm sure we're never going to see it because he's one of the leading lights in Southern California as far as the dirt horses are concerned. Sounds like he's going to go on to a race at the Pegasus, and we'll see what happens after that. But Collected, he's one that obviously you're going to have to keep an eye on going forward into 2018. Let's talk about the East Coast a little bit. This is a horse that we're still going to see one more time. I think it's going to be the Clark Handicap next weekend. If it's not there, it would be the Cigar Mile at Aqueduct the following weekend. Diversify has been a New York bred that has just kind of, I don't want to say he's come out of nowhere, but once they finally chose to test him a little bit and throw him into the deep end, he acquitted himself very nicely. This is Diversify winning the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Up in a stretch. Diversified turns for home in front. Keen Ice Pavel's going with him too. The two of them are side by side coming to the furlong pole. They still have to catch Diversify, who's put to the whip. Diversify holding on to the lead. Keen Ice on the outside, and Pavel trying to run him down. Diversify digs in. Keen Ice on the outside, and Pavel can't get him. Diversify has won the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Gutsy effort there from Diversify. I understand maybe some of that was pace aided where he was out there by himself on a loose lead, and that makes things much easier, obviously, from a trip standpoint. But the fact that he stayed on at the 10 furlongs, which I still maintain, I think he's better at those middle distances, 9 furlongs, 8.5 furlongs, or even something like a one-turn mile. I would love to see him in the Cigar if they chose to go there. If they choose to go to the Clark Handicap, he's going to be one of the choices as well. Diversify going forward. He could be a really, really interesting horse in 2018. Again, that tactical speed, that's a beautiful thing. He's also a New York bred. I'm sure he's not going to see New York bred company for quite some time now, but we know a lot about him. We know that Belmont Park is not a problem. We know that he can get 10 furlongs. May not be ideal, but he can get 10 furlongs. And importantly, he likes Saratoga. And there's a couple of 9 furlong races I think we're all familiar with up at the Spa that no reason why he shouldn't be running in those races next year if everything goes as planned. We actually just saw another horse that I think is going to be a very, very major player next year in 2018 as a 4-year-old. He ran in that Jockey Club Gold Cup. That was Pavel. Pavel is a horse that I think the sky's the limit for this horse. Okay, the Breeders' Cup Classic disaster, it is what it is. I personally hoped he didn't run in that race. Kind of wanted them to just take their time, wait, and get this horse ready to go as a 4-year-old. What he's accomplished and what he's done in a very, very short amount of time, I don't think can go overlooked. He was not the winner of that Jockey Club Gold Cup, but he ran a giant race, and I think sort of his coming out party was him winning the Smarty Jones at Parks.
Off the turn, and Pavel strides clear. Down to the last furlong, Pavel by 3. Pavel by 4. Colonel's Dark Temper second. Battalion runners dropped off the board. Pavel with a big effort here this afternoon. Inside the final 16th, a 5 almost a 16th lead, and he is just coasting late. Pavel, very impressive here in the Smarty Jones, a clear-cut winner.
I thought he was fantastic there. Don't worry about him being a little washed out. Doug O'Neill has said that's just him. It is what it is. He's a horse that has logged a lot of miles in a short amount of time. Keep in mind, he didn't debut until I want to say May or June of this year as a 3-year-old. So this is a very, very talented horse. I wonder ultimately what his best game is going to be. Is it a middle distance? Is it going a little bit shorter? Is it, heck, even going a little bit longer? He's getting tactical speed and goes a long way. I think Pavel is a 4-year-old. He's going to be right there, in my opinion, with the likes of West Coast. And we'll see about Collected. Ultimately depends on what kind of races he runs in. But I think Pavel has an immense amount of ability. Everybody kind of forgets, and look, his Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile was terrible. I think everybody forgets about More Spirit a little bit and just how enormous he ran in the Metropolitan Handicap. This is More Spirit winning the Met Mile.
And More Spirit has taken the lead at the top of the stretch. 3/4 in 1:10.1. And it is More Spirit pulling away from Sharp Azteca. Tommy Macho is third. Awesome Slew is taken fourth on the far outside. This is just an unbelievable day for Bob Baffert and Mike Smith. They are unstoppable. More Spirit has dominated the Met Mile. He won it by 7 lengths.
You know that's what he's capable of when he's at his best. We saw his worst at Del Mar a few weeks back in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. It sounds like they're going to give him a little bit of time. And Bob Baffert has said he thinks it's a mental thing. It's not a physical thing with this horse. Well, if it's a mental thing, we're going to have to figure that out. But you know that when he's at his best, he's capable of something giant like that, an enormous performance. And I would assume that that ultimately is going to be the goal in 2018. Get him back into form, get him back for a race like the Met Mile and possibly some other middle distance races. We'll find out if they want to try to stretch him out to distances like 1 mile and 1/8 and maybe races like the Whitney or anything else like that. So you've got a lot of good horses there. And then there's other horses that I haven't even mentioned. Shaman Ghost is coming back. We'll find out if any of these 3-year-olds next year, these 2-year-olds now that soon to be turned 3-year-olds, if any of them kind of grab the bull by the horns and move on into bigger and better things in 2018. The male division, just because we lose Arrogate, just because we lose Gunrunner, don't think that means that it's going to be a disappointing division. I think you've got plenty of quality in there, and we'll find out possibly again. The unknown is always these 3-year-olds when they finally take on older horses next year. Is it going to be a good group? This year, a little bit subpar. I think next year, we'll find out. But so far, the 2-year-olds, they look promising. Hopefully, they'll continue on and train on, and they'll add to this flavor that we've got for the older males in 2018. We're going to take a quick break here on the Matt Bernier Show. When we come back, we'll dive into the older females in 2018, led by Forever Unbridled. Stay with us.
California Chrome, straight and strong. Absolutely sensational. California Chrome. California Chrome. To California Chrome. Away to the Kentucky Derby. California Chrome wins impressively.
He's gone into overdrive. California Chrome wins the Dubai World Cup.
One of the greatest performances you'll ever see.
Chrome turns to gold.
You asked, we listened. DRF Plus has more flexible subscription options. Use DRF Plus Basic for exclusive news and analysis, including our DRF Live real-time news feed. Or go deeper with DRF Pro and unlock buyers, closer looks, picks, and reports, including the DRF Daily Game Plan. DRF TV viewers get 50% off the plan of your choice. Use code DRFTV50 at checkout. Learn more about the DRF Plus subscription plans at drf.com/plus.
Ladies and gentlemen of Cincinnati, clear your dance cards, because this is an invitation from Jack. Jack says the best business to get into is monkey business. Jack says once in a lifetime can happen every night. Damn the torpedoes and tomorrow morning. Prepare to live it up, live it loud, and relive it all over late night chilly three-way. Because Cincinnati, this is really happening.
$12:13 on the East, 9:13 on the West. The Matt Bernier Show, DRF TV, live.drf.com, livestream.com, DRF's Twitter and Facebook pages. Let's dive into the females for 2018. Kind of, again, looking a little bit ahead. And I'm sure there are horses that I will omit, and I don't intend to do it. It was just one of those things, just a complete oversight. If you think of any horses that I've missed, whether it's males or females, fire away at Twitter, at Bernier_Matt. Let's dive into the fillies and mares. We've got to start off with the reigning and defending champion of the Breeders' Cup Distaff, Forever Unbridled. It sounds like they're going to go on with her to a race like the Pegasus World Cup. Look, there's a lot of money there. I don't think she has the ability to beat a horse like Gunrunner, but tip of the cap. I love it from a sporting standpoint. She's really, really good, and she showed that in the Breeders' Cup Distaff.
Champagne Room back at the rail. Abel Tasman battling on behind that. They are homeward bound now. Along the inside, we have Paradise Woods, but on the outside, Forever Unbridled takes the lead. Here's Abel Tasman flying late. Abel Tasman coming at Forever Unbridled. Forever Unbridled, the wire will come in time. Forever Unbridled has won the distaff.
Giant effort from Forever Unbridled. Giant effort from the runner-up and their Abel Tasman. Admittedly, a 3-year-old filly that at that point in her racing career, in her season, in her campaign as a 3-year-old, I didn't like her. I didn't like her in the distaff. I thought just the way that she had been running in those couple races, the one prior to that in the Cotillion, and then 2 starts back up at Saratoga, that big brush move, that's not going to work against better horses. Well, guess what? She behaved herself, and she did everything like the consummate professional, and she went on. She gave Forever Unbridled a serious run, and you would think with that sort of just natural progression from 3 to 4, if she takes another step forward, no guarantee, but if she takes another step forward, she's going to be a major, major player. One of her big wins this year. I mean, she has giant wins all over the place, obviously, the Kentucky Oaks and other races, whatnot. But for me, the Coaching Club American Oaks, this was one of the better efforts. This is Abel Tasman up at Saratoga.
Stretch, Abel Tasman in front off the turn. Salty went wide. She's on the far outside. Elate is coming up the rail. Here comes Elate through on the inside to challenge Abel Tasman. Salty's in the center of the track. Abel Tasman and Elate come past the 16th pole. Abel Tasman, Elate giving her a run for her money as they hit the wire. Abel Tasman has won it by a head.
I do wonder what Abel Tasman's best distance is, what her ideal distance is. She can get 9 furlongs. I suppose if you tried to push her out to 10, she could do that the way that she was finishing in the distaff. It would give me no indication that she can't do it. But there's a part of me that wonders if she's best maybe at a 1-turn mile or some sort of a middle distance, a little bit shorter than 8 or 9 furlongs rather. I think she's very, very talented. That's quite obvious. But if she continues on that normal progression from 3 to 4, boy, she's going to be a handful next year for Baffert. You saw a filly in that race, the Coaching Club American Oaks, down on the inside called Elate. She was a 3-year-old that, as a 2-year-old at the end, everyone kind of caught the attention because as a 2-year-old, Bill Mott doesn't win first out and doesn't win the way that this filly did. She goes on, she starts off a little bit slow as her 3-year-old campaign gets going, but boy, slowly but surely she puts it all together. You saw her there in the Coaching Club American Oaks where she was down on the inside. A case could be made that she should have been put up. I'm not going to get into that. That's whatever your opinion is there, so be it. But she showed that as she continued on in that 3-year-old year, she got better and better and better. This is Elate winning the Beldame against older horses.
They're into the stretch. Money's on. Charlotte has taken the lead. Elate still has no place to go. Asking for money is there on the outside. Can Elate get through? She's trying to squeeze through a slim opening here. And through the eye of a needle, here she comes. And Elate has charged through to take the lead, and she is taking off for the wire. Leaving the others behind. Elate dominates the Beldame. Oh, she was sharp today. She won it by 7.
She's a tremendous talent, and it's a shame that she ran as poorly as she did at Del Mar. She went off as the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Think about that, with all those big names in there. She visually looked fantastic in that spot right there, winning the Beldame. I think as a 4-year-old, she could be a monster. Apparently, you just, by all indications and all accounts from the people that see her in the morning, she looks just like a hulk of an animal out there. She's got the power. Distance not a problem for her particularly. I think 10 furlongs, not just because she won the Alabama, but you look and see the way that she runs. I feel like 10 furlongs is going to be right in her wheelhouse. Maybe a race like the Delaware Handicap this coming year as a 4-year-old would be something that would suit her very, very well. And who knows? Who knows? And we talked about the males, and we already talked about Forever Unbridled, how she's going to be facing the boys here at the end of January in the Pegasus World Cup. If maybe that division for the males gets a little bit choppy and things don't look great, late we know 9 furlongs isn't a problem, but hey, who knows? Maybe down the road, I know it wouldn't be something that Belmont normally does, but maybe you end up seeing her take on the boys. He did it with Royal Delta. He tried a couple of times. 10 furlongs, particularly with Elate. I wonder if that's really going to be in her wheelhouse. Another filly that is very, very talented 3-year-old that's soon to be a 4-year-old is It Is Well, and nobody seems to talk about her because, unfortunately, she didn't get to run in the distaff. She got hurt just the week leading into it, and they were forced to scratch out of there. But if she comes back and moves forward at all from her 3 to 4-year-old campaign, she has a giant, giant chance to be a major, major player in any of these sort of races, including the Breeders' Cup Distaff if they get that far. Keep in mind, she defeated Abel Tasman on the square. This is It Is Well winning the cotillion at Parks.
As the fillies turn for home, Abel Tasman down at the inside, locked down, and here comes It Is Well. 3 of them are right together with 1 furlong to go. Abel Tasman on the inside. It Is Well has taken the lead. It Is Well is now in front with a 16 to go. Locked down, Abel Tasman on the inside. It will be It Is Well's day today. It Is Well's got it by 2.
Again, just a really, really fun division if you think about it going forward. If all these girls, if they can take steps forward and they can maintain the good form that they showed in 2017 into 2018, then this is going to be just an absolute dynamite division. And the good thing is, they're on both coasts. They're on the East Coast. They're on the West Coast. They're in the Midwest. They're in the Kentucky area, which bodes well leading into next year's Breeders' Cup, which is going to be at Churchill Downs and under the lights. So I think there's a lot to like about this division. I haven't even touched on Unique Bella or Paradise Woods or any of these other really, really nice 3-year-olds that, who knows, if they take any sort of step forward as a 4-year-old, they're going to be major players. And that's not including the soon-to-be 3-year-olds. The 2-year-old girls right now, they look a little bit choppy. But boy, if they move on, if they take any sort of giant steps forward, there's no reason to think that as 3-year-olds they can at least be fringe contenders against these older gals. Fun division. I think it's just one of those things. Again, this time of year, a little bit quiet. Let's do a little bit of foreshadowing. Let's see what we can get leading into 2018. Some of the names to keep in the back of your mind as we get ready to go and embark on a new year of racing here in the next few weeks. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, there's not a ton of racing that we'll go over this weekend, but 2 stakes races, 1 from Aqueduct, 1 from Del Mar, and then we'll go over some football, hopefully get back on the beam here. The Matt Bernier Show. Stay with us.
California Chrome, straight and strong. Absolutely sensational. California Chrome. California Chrome. To California Chrome. Away to the Kentucky Derby. California Chrome wins impressively.
He's gone into overdrive. California Chrome wins the Dubai World Cup.
One of the greatest performances you'll ever see.
Chrome turns to gold.
You asked, we listened. DRF Plus has more flexible subscription options. Use DRF Plus Basic for exclusive news and analysis, including our DRF Live real-time news feed. Or go deeper with DRF Pro and unlock buyers, closer looks, picks, and reports, including the DRF Daily Game Plan. DRF TV viewers get 50% off the plan of your choice. Use code DRFTV50 at checkout. Learn more about the DRF Plus subscription plans at drf.com/plus.
Ladies and gentlemen of Cincinnati, clear your dance cards, because this is an invitation from Jack. Jack says the best business to get into is monkey business. Jack says once in a lifetime can happen every night. Damn the torpedoes and tomorrow morning. Prepare to live it up, live it loud, and relive it all over late night chili 3-way. Because Cincinnati, this is really happening.
12:22 in the east, 9:22 the west. The Matt Bernier Show, DRF TV. Let's dive into a little bit of handicapping, shall we? We've got two races to go over, one from Aqueduct, one from Del Mar, and then we'll go over the Week 11 trifecta as far as the NFL is concerned. But first things first, let's take a look at the Artie Schiller. That's going to be the featured event at Aqueduct tomorrow afternoon on the turf. Now, look, if you're normally one of the viewers or listeners to this show, particularly the viewers, if you see this on the far right side, normally that's where my odds are. This week, oversight on my part. This is the normal entry card with the morning line, but I will go in post position order with my odds. So the number 1, Night Prowler, 5-1 on the morning line. I think it should be 6-1. The 2 is Fire Away, 10-1. We move on to the 3, Hollywood Hideaway, 19-1. 4, Wolf Rock, 24-1. 5, Black Type, 4-1. 6, A Lot, 16-1. 7, Marengo Road, 32-1. 8, Converge, 49-1. The 9, Delta Prince, 6-1. Monster B, the 10, at 10-1. The 11, Tizarunner, 6-1. The 12, Cantoon, is a main track only, so he's not included in any sort of morning line, or a value line, excuse me. So it's a race where I look at it and go, Black Type is the horse to beat in this spot. Am I going to be stunned at all if he lays an egg and doesn't pick his feet up? No, not whatsoever. I think this is an interesting race. You can go a few different ways. I chose to take a bit of a shot here, and that's going to lead us into the pick and the play for this week, for this race anyway, the Artie Schiller. To me, Tizarunner is an interesting one, and this show is going to lead into Out of the Gate. Spoiler alert, you're going to see a little bit of video from Tizarunner in that show. He's a complete dope. He has no idea what he's doing. But that doesn't mean that he's not talented. It doesn't mean that he's not fast. You look at the way that this horse finishes. He comes home like a freight train. His head, he's probably going to be looking at the grandstand, and he's going to be changing leads about 17 times. Usually everything I hate about a racehorse, I still think he's got an interesting chance in there. Again, I made him 6-1. For me, it's going to be a $10 win bet at 6-1 or greater. And again, the denomination is entirely up to you. For me, it's just kind of a placeholder. Who knows? Depends how I'm doing tomorrow. Maybe it's a heck of a lot more than 10. Maybe it's 10. But I think he's an interesting win contender as far as odds are concerned. You're going to get a big price on him. I think 6-1 is a fair number on him. Anything over that, obviously I'll play. I'll also use Black Type. The horse I think is the one to beat in this spot in an exacta box. I generally don't box things, but I do look at it and say, you know what? If Black Type gets the job done because he figures to work out a beautiful trip in this spot, if he gets it done and Tizarunner comes with his late kick and he can't quite get there and run second, I want to have something. So a $10 exacta box for me as well, with the 5 Black Type, who is likely to be one of your favorites in this spot, as well as my pick in this race, Tizarunner. Let's move out to Del Mar and take a look at the 2-year-old, the Desi Arnaz. This is a short field, but it's a talented field. And let's take a look at that field if we could. Again, in post position order, I will give you my odds. The morning line, you see that right there. My odds, the 1, Steph being Steph, 13-1. 2, Ms. Bad Behavior, 5-1. 3, Midnight Pursuit, 9-5. 4, Smiling Tigress, 32-1. Secret Spice is the 5, 19-1, and the 6 is Dream Tree. I have Dream Tree at odds of 9-5 as far as the value line is concerned. I think this is an interesting race. To me, it's 2 horses that stand out, and it's no disrespect to Miss Bad Behavior. I think she's really talented. I think she's going to find that she might be dealing with 2 really, really nice fillies. And again, we talked about that 2-year-old division, soon to be 3-year-olds. The fillies, a little bit topsy-turvy, a little bit up and down. And I wonder if maybe you get one of these late developing horses here, or fillies anyway, that showed up a little bit late on the scene, particularly Midnight Pursuit, who I'm most interested in. And ultimately, here we go. There's the pick and the play. I like Midnight Pursuit. I think she's an interesting candidate in here because she's a maiden, so people immediately are going to look at that and say, oh, well, how good is she? But really, when you look at this race, this is a glorified non-winners of one other than, because many of these horses are maiden specials or whatever it may be. I think she's got a big chance in here. I love the way that she finished in that most recent start against Dream Tree. I think the 7/8 of a mile, beautiful for her, that additional distance. I even think eventually 2 turns is going to be quite good for her. I know she's by Midnight Loop, but on the bottom, a lot of stamina influence there. I think, again, she's 3-1, I believe, on the morning line. To me, I would play her at odds of 9-5 or greater. I like her quite a bit. It would be a $50 win wager there. And I do think Dream Tree is the other horse in this spot. So I'm going to play a little bit of a reverse exacta to try to cover myself. I would play a $10 exacta of 6/3. Obviously, you need to see what the probable will pays are there, because if there's anything too short, you got to do the math in your head. For me, I believe if I have them at 9-5 each of them, a 34% chance, you can do the quick math again. 0.34 by 0.34, whatever that number comes out, that's generally what you should be looking at as far as an exacta payoff is concerned. So if it's a bit of an underlay, then obviously we make a bit of a change. But for this exercise here, I will play a reverse $10 exacta of Dream Tree over Midnight Bassoux, but I like Midnight Bassoux a lot, and I would play her at odds of 9-5 or greater in the Desi Arnaz. Let's dive into the NFL. Week 13, the Trifecta. Last weekend was a disaster. Well documented. We talked about it on the Tuesday show. 0-3 last week. So for the year anyway, right now we're looking at 9-14-1 year to date, and again, we're trying to get to that magic number 52.38%. because that's a profitable season. So let's dive into it. The first things first, we're going to go and say Arizona Cardinals at Houston Texans. I look at this game and say the Cardinals, I think, are hot garbage. I think the Texans with Tom Savage, not spectacular, but the Texans are laying 1 point at home. I still think they're just better than the Cardinals are, and I know maybe Adrian Peterson can get something cooking for the Cards, but I said it earlier in the year when I picked picked the Rams against them in a game where the spread was something like 7, and I think the Rams just blew their doors off. I don't think Arizona's any good. Houston, I think, is better than their record maybe indicates. Losing Deshaun Watson was terrible. Tom Savage, not very good, but I still think they're a team that they can probably get the job done at home. They're laying 1 point. The Eagles at the Cowboys are catching 4.5 points. If you haven't heard these comments from Jerry Jones, and I believe there's going to be a story out on ESPN shortly, it sounds like this thing is setting up to just completely implode the NFL between Goodell and Jones and all the other owners and whatnot. But as far as the game itself is concerned, the Eagles coming off the bye, they seem to be the hotness right now. This is a team everybody loves. Nothing really to knock about them. I said earlier in the year, Carson Wentz, let's hold on the hype train. Maybe it's time to start fully buying in. I know a lot of people have already fully bought in. I'm starting to warm up to that. He's got to be viewed on the short list of MVP candidates. The Cowboys, no Zeke, hurts. The left tackle got absolutely destroyed last weekend against the Falcons. Hopefully things are going to be a little bit tighter there. Catching points at home, though, and the Cowboys are still a decent enough team. Something just to keep in the back of your mind. The Falcons at the Seahawks is going to be the third and final game to discuss here. Seahawks are home -3 points. Falcons, kind of just alluded to it, they had a big win last weekend at home against the Cowboys. I feel like Seattle's a bit of Jekyll and Hyde. When they're good, they're really good, and when they're bad, they look kind of crummy. They lost Richard Sherman. That's going to hurt, particularly in a matchup like this. Julio Jones has been quiet this year, but that doesn't mean he's not capable of anything. We've seen what he can do at his absolute best. So as far as the picks are concerned, here we go. These are your 3 games. The Cardinals at the Texans. Texans -1. I will lay the 1 point. I think that's a situation where the Texans are just simply a better team. The Eagles at the Cowboys. Cowboys +4.5. Philadelphia, I get it. They're really, really good. Wouldn't be surprised at all if they win. I don't need the Cowboys to win. I just needed to cover 4.5. 4.5 is a juicy number, I think, and I wonder if that comes down a little bit as we get closer to game time. And the Atlanta Falcons at the Seattle Seahawks. Anybody going up to Seattle, they're going to have a hard time, even with this team, which is a little bit topsy-turvy. Sneaky, I don't want to say sneaky, but Russell Wilson having an unbelievable year. He should be considered at least a candidate for the MVP, along with Wentz and Brady and anybody else that you want to throw in there. So give me the Seahawks -3 at home. A quick rundown. Texans -1, Cowboys +4.5, Seahawks -3 for the Week 11 Trifecta. It is 12:30 on the East Coast, 9:30 on the West Coast. If you've been listening live.drf.com, livestream.com, the Daily Racing Forum's Twitter handle, that is at DRF Inside Post, as well as the Daily Racing Forum Facebook page, those social media outlets, thank you for doing so. If you listen to the podcast, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, video.drf.com. Obviously, the boys led in with the DRF Players Podcast. That's at 11 on Tuesdays and Fridays, at noon on Tuesdays and Fridays. The Matt Bernier Show. Friday, we do a little bit of a preview. Tuesday, we do a recap. That's a new thing. If you just missed that, we had the first one last week. You can go on any of those sites down there and check that out, see what it's all about. And as we always do here on Fridays, we lead into the latest edition of Out of the Gate with Dan Illman, Mike Beer, you name it, they're all involved. Nicole Russo, Craig Mukowski, Jonathan Kinchin, and whatnot. Well done to the boys in the back. Best of luck this weekend. We will not have a Friday show next week because of the holiday, but there will be a recap show that will be up on Tuesday afternoon. So best of luck this weekend, and we'll wrap up some things before we lead into the holiday weekend next week on Tuesday. Best of luck. We'll talk to you then.